everyone. Today we are doing more notes over domain and range of exponential functions. So we've been doing that a lot lately, talking about domain and range. But this looks different than any of the last few pages. Do you know why? Because there's no graphs. Okay, so if we don't have graphs, then the domain and the range, you can figure it out based off of some things that I've been telling you, but it's much easier if you have a picture to look at. Okay, so on the calendar, on the slide, I have the link for the graphing calculator, and I've given this to you before. So I'm just going to click on that link, and I'm going to open up this calculator. And remember, when you open this calculator up on your computer, you have to hit Start, Start, and then you hit the little button up here that looks like a calculator. Okay, so because I know a lot of you do not have your own graphing calculator, then you're going to want it for problems when you just see an equation but not a picture. Okay, so I'm going to type this equation in, 5 times 2 to the x. So I'm going to go to my y equals, and then I've got 5, and then parentheses. So parenthesis, 2, close the parenthesis. This little caret above the divide bar raises it to any power you want. So I'm going to click this button right here that's above the divide bar. It's called a caret. And then here's my x. It's right here to the right of the green alpha. This guy right here. Okay, and I'm going to graph it. Now, before I hit graph, I know that because there's no plus or minus in the back of the equation, that the horizontal asymptote is going to be right on the x-axis. I know that it's going to be growth because my b is bigger than 1. So let's take a look. Graph. Sure enough. So my x-axis is my horizontal asymptote. The domain, forever to the left, forever to the right. So the domain is all reals. Now, if this is my asymptote, then the y is coming really, really close to being a 0, and then it goes up, 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 up. So the y's are going to get greater than 0. So the domain is going to be all real numbers, and the range is going to be y is greater than 0. And now that I've used this guy, I'm going to get rid of him. All right, so remember, this will always be a 0 over here if you don't see a plus or a minus in the back. And that's because the asymptote is always right on the x-axis if there's not the plus or minus in the back. And what do we know about the domain of every one of these problems? It's all real numbers. 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 All of these graphs go forever to the left, forever to the right, forever to the left, forever to the right. Doesn't matter how they look, they all do that. Okay, so half the assignment's been done. Whoosh! All right, looking at this next one. I'm going to go to my graphing calculator and type that in. -2 to the x minus 4. All right, so go to y equals. I'm just going to hit clear. So I've got -2 raised to the x. I have to right arrow to get my cursor to plop back down, and then minus 4. So -2 to the x minus 4. Now, because this has something in the back, a plus or a minus in the back, that asymptote is going to be moving, and it's going to be moving down 4. Okay, let's look. Boop. All right, so I know that normally the asymptote is right here on the x-axis, but if it's moving down 4, then it's going to be down here at y equals -4. So that means that this graph is getting really, really close to being a -4. But then what happens when you go this way? You go down, 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 so y's get less. So the y starts off being really close to -4, but then it goes down, so it gets less. And that's this guy, so I'm done with him. All right, this next one. Because it has a plus or a minus in the back, I know that asymptote is moving again. how's it moving? It's going to go down 2. Now, this one that went down 4, see how it's a negative 4 here? So this one that goes down 2, what do you think it's going to be here? A negative 2. Let's look. So I'm going to go to y equals, and clear this bad boy out of there. 9 parentheses. 1/3. I'm going to go alpha y equals. Alpha y equals. And I'm going to pick number 1 here because that does the fraction. So I'm just hitting enter. And I'm going to put my 1 on top. I'm going to arrow down and put my, whoa, I cleared. Oopsies. So 1 on top, arrow down, 3 on bottom. I'm going to right arrow and then I'm going to close that parenthesis. So 9 parenthesis 1/3 to the x. So I've got to raise it to the x. And then in the very back, -2. So I'm going to right arrow to plop that cursor down. Plop. -2. And hit graph. So sure enough, instead of the asymptote being right here on top of the x-axis, it has dropped 2. Doot, doot. And of course, you can always zoom in when you're using these. Look at that. Super sweet. 1, 2. So now my asymptote is down here at y equals -2. So this graph is getting really, really close to the y being a -2, but then it goes this way. Up, 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 up. And what happens to y's when they go up? They get greater. So the y got really close to being a -2, and then when it went up, 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 it got greater. So y is greater than -2. Done with him. All right, so these numbers in the back, that's how your asymptote's moving. So when you don't see anything in the back, it's at 0. So if it goes down 4, then that's why it lands at -4. If it goes down 2, that's why it lands at -2. So what do you think? This guy is going to be right here. A -3. Because this is going to move your graph down 3. Let's look at it. -2 to the x -3. -2 to the x. Okay, so I have this too zoomed. Clear that off. So negative. Okay, so I hit the negative button. And then 2 raised to the x. So -2 to the x -3. So -3. Okay, so, oh no, look at me. I did not plop my cursor down. -2 to the x. Remember, you need a right arrow to get that cursor down. So right arrow, get him down. Bloop. Then -3. Okay, let's look at his picture. So sure enough, the asymptote, instead of being up here on the x-axis, has dropped down 1, 2, 3 units. So it's y equals -3. So the graph is getting really, really, really close to being a -3 for a y. And then when the graph goes down, 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 what happens to your y's? They get less. So when it went down, 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 they get smaller. So y is less than -3. He's done and out of the way. Okay, looking at this one. Why are all these minuses in the back? It'd be more exciting if we had some pluses, don't you think? So it's going down 3 again. All right, let's look at it. 2 to the x -3. All right, so y equals, let's clear this guy off. 2 raised to the x, right arrow to get your cursor down, -3. Let's hit graph. So instead of the asymptote being right at the x-axis, it has dropped down to 1, 2, dropped down 3, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. So it's down here at y equals -3. And then when the graph goes up, 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 the y's get greater. So y is greater than -3. And now I'm done with that guy. All right, so your assignment is to finish this. You've got 3 problems to find the range on. You've got your graphing calculator that you can use on your computer, so you'll be able to look at the pictures. And then when you're done, take a picture of your work and submit it to Canvas. And that's all for today.